is my iPhone going crazy?
We're live, guys.
Yep. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We'll give everybody else a few more minutes to join us and then we'll get started. Thanks to everyone who just hopped on. We're just going to give everyone a few more minutes to join us and then we'll get going. Looks like there's some more people trickling in now, so let's go ahead and get started. So, hello, Chef Partners. Thank you for joining us today for the kickoff of our monthly partner webinar series. We'll be hosting one every month with a rotating focus on marketing techniques and trends, technical deep dive, and then business operational best practices. So, go to the next slide. My name is Will Cramer. I am the Partner Marketing Manager here at Chef, and with me today are Vikram Ghosh, VP of Business Development, and Brian Goldfarb, Chief Marketing Officer. Click over to the agenda slide. So here's our agenda for the presentation today. Let you take a look at it. I would like to highlight the one-on-one with Chef at the end. This is a partner webinar exclusive. We're inviting everyone who joined us to let us know who you are, and as a member of our partner ecosystem, who you would like to talk to at Chef. From CEO to SDR, it could be someone from the engineering team, the legal department, marketing, customer success, literally any role at Chef. Who would be the most helpful to talk to at Chef for you and your company? We'll have a Google form at the end of the presentation that you can use to submit who you and your team would like to talk to, and I will do my absolute best to accommodate it. So with that, I'd like to jump into some of the upcoming changes to the Chef Partner Kitchen, also known as our partner portal, and then I'll hand it off to Vikram and Brian. So the three things I'll focus on today: changes to the login process, deal registration, and the asset library. Right now, the current process is everyone who logs into the Chef Partner Kitchen has a unique login. Because our companies are partnered at a company level, not an individual level, this has created some issues in the past when a main point of contact at a partner leaves. I'll be reaching out to all of our partners in the next few weeks to establish a company-wide login that will help keep access to the Chef Partner Kitchen available to our partners, regardless of internal turnover. If there's any questions or concerns about this change, I'm more than happy to discuss them down the line. So then moving on to the deal registration, I wanted to highlight from within the Partner Kitchen, there's 3 steps to get your deal protection and registration activated. So all you have to do is log in, verify that the deal has budget, authority, need, and timing, otherwise known as BANT, and then completing the basics of the opportunity. And last but surely not least, the changes that are coming to our asset library. So this will be a huge benefit to you as our partners. On September 16th, when the new login process goes live, so will our new asset library. As you can see, Chef created and branded assets will be sortable by the type and sales play that the assets fall under. And we're hoping that this will help you and your reps learn more about the approach Chef is using internally for sales and marketing. Will also allow you to quickly find content needed, and most importantly, help your reps register more deals and then ideally close those deals. So by using our decks, playbooks, ebooks, webinars, etc., customer evidence, we are excited that this will help you grow your chef practice and sales. So I think, Vikram, you're on the clock now.
All right. Thank you, Will. And thank you, everyone, for joining in. Always great to be speaking with all of you. You probably have heard my voice before or met me in person. But I also wanted to introduce the rest of the team to you. Delighted to report back that we have a lot more people in the Chef Partner Org compared to the last time that we met. You've heard Will speak today, and Will joined us early in January, focusing on partner marketing. Denise Podner, who's recently moved into our org here to help us with system integration partners. And Alex Kaufman is our new channel and operations BDM. He started at Chef about 3 weeks ago, so cut him some slack if he's coming in a little slow, but he should be reaching out to you in the next few weeks, setting up time to speak with almost all of you here. Chris Warden and Jeff on our team here helps with Microsoft business development. As you know, Microsoft is a pretty big partner for us, and we drive a bunch of go-to-market activities together with Microsoft. In fact, we'll highlight out something to you later today. But where I wanted to spend the majority of our time today is in walking you through a few of the recent accolades that we've received and a few of the business momentums that we are seeing that is beginning to resonate with a lot of our customers. Earlier this year, thanks to all of your input, we created and launched the Chef Partner Kitchen. And last month, CRN called us out as one of the 10 hottest DevOps startups of 2020. They did make a big call out to all our partners. So thank you so much for helping us there. Also, last month or back in June, we hit a pretty big financial milestone for the company. And there's an article that GeekWire produced on that specific milestone that I'm alluding to. From an analyst standpoint, we're getting a bunch of recognition from the likes of Gartner, Forrester, and IDC, specifically around our DevSecOps plays. In fact, there's a report that I've linked to the slide here, and these slides will be available to you, around 3 steps that Gartner highlighted out as key in ensuring audit and compliance success with DevOps. And happy to report back to you that Chef InSpec is called out as a leader there. So for all of you who are looking to get into DevSecOps and building out practices around DevSecOps, there's never been a better time to partner with Chef. At Chef, what we aim to do is building out products that focuses on improving the lives of IT operators and thereby helping their organizations become coded enterprises. Our approach in everything that we do, be it infrastructure management or managing compliance or managing application dependencies, are all built around the single focus on helping customers run their IT organizations as coded enterprises. So our compliance solution takes a pretty new approach in instantiating compliance rules as code. Our application delivery solution differentiates itself around defining application dependencies as code. And that is what helps us foster the growth of the coded enterprise. At ChefConf earlier this year, we first announced our intent to build out workload-aligned products. For most of you who know us, we've focused our energies and efforts thus far on solving point problems. At ChefConf this year, we made a pretty big pivot and are now focusing on building out workload-aligned products that helps customers solve a business problem. We're also taking your feedback pretty seriously around making it easy for IT roles to be able to collaborate and use our products, thereby enabling broad enterprise-wide adoption. You probably know us as leaders in DevOps, wherein we first brought in together the dev teams and the ops teams within an organization. With InSpec, we started building out products that bring together not just the dev and the ops teams, but also the security teams thereby enabling DevSecOps for our customers. But from a product landscape, as I mentioned to you, we were pretty focused on 4 different product lines: Chef Infra, Chef Automate, Chef Inspect, as well as Habitat. And what we announced at ChefConf is our approach in building out workload-aligned products. And we introduced 2 new products at ChefConf. One specifically focused around managing compliance, and the second one around managing desktops. And I'll talk to you about both of them today. But what you can expect to see from us is focusing on building up products and solutions that are more workload aligned. So later this year, you would see a product offering from us specifically focused around infrastructure management as well as application delivery. Now, these aren't just Chef Infra or Chef Habitat. These are a bunch of our products as well as specific content that we are building in to solve these use cases that our customers have. So I'd like to spend a little bit of time talking to you about Chef Compliance. What Chef Compliance does is focuses on 4 key value propositions for our customers, in addition to being completely code-driven. Of course, it's built on proven chef technology such as Inspect, such as Chef Infra, such as Automate. It also brings in specific content that is more policy-driven around remediation, and also chef-hardened CIS certified content that then goes out and measures for compliance. Chef Compliance is available in 2 flavors. And the reason why we made 2 flavors available for our customers is we started recognizing that Inspect as a tool was not only being used by DevSecOps people, but also auditors, information auditors, security auditors within an organization who just wanted to see the state of the system. And therefore, with Chef Compliance, we have 2 flavors, one focused around the auditor audience called Chef Compliance Audit. The second is around Chef Compliance Remediation, which takes it a step beyond just auditing and goes in and remediates systems that have drifted away from their known good compliance states. What accompanies this solution is CIS certified content, as well as chef curated content subscription. And as you're seeing on this slide, the Chef Compliance Audit solution comes with specific audit content. The remediation solution comes with remediation content as well as a focus around continual remediation. Now, you might ask me, why do we think we will win in this space? Security often has been the department of no. Security often tells people what not to do. When it comes to actually fixing problems, security then hands these problems over to the operations folks. And that is a unique opportunity for us to be able to bring together the operations team, wherein we have a lot of credence, and the security teams, and thereby enable remediation for our customers, which is what they are looking to do. Chef Desktop is another offering that we launched at ChefConf earlier this year. Now, Chef Desktop focuses on 3 key tenets. First is around driving efficiency through automation. The second is gaining control over IT resources. And finally, it is about reducing risk around security vulnerabilities as well as compliance risks. Now, why do we think we'll win in this space? Our code-driven approach is what uniquely differentiates us from any of the traditional desktop management solutions out there. When we first established ourselves as a company, our code-driven approach changed the game when it came to managing server-side infrastructure. We also started observing that a few of our leading customers started using the same approach around code-driven management and started applying it towards their fleet of desktops. In fact, Uber wrote up an article last year wherein they started highlighting how they were using Chef to manage their fleet of desktops. And that gave us the pattern that we've instantiated and created as a product offering called Chef Desktop. What made it even more powerful is the use of YAML. With Chef 16, we started introducing YAML support. And that YAML support makes it very easy for people to be able to write up rules and thereby utilize Chef more broadly across their enterprises. In addition to that, zero-touch provisioning, built-in compliance, as well as Chef-hardened CIS content that is specific to workstations help us differentiate Chef Desktop. Again, Chef Desktop is available to us in two distinct flavors: a Chef Desktop management offer, which is focused around configuration management, and a Chef Desktop compliance offer that then adds on auditability as well as security policy audit capabilities, in addition to the Chef Desktop management offer. What customers get is not just access to our core software, they also get content, things like CIS certified benchmarks, as well as other Chef curated content that we are starting to offer as a subscription service to our customers. Now, what do both of these offers mean for you as partners? What this really helps you do is to be able to, first of all, target a brand new use case within a customer who's already a Chef customer, and that use case being desktop management. The second offer that it brings in front of you is a unique opportunity to be able to go target regulated industry or any company that has compliance concerns. We've also got specific content that has been built out around DISA stinks. So all of you who service federal customers or government customers here in the US, that is a unique opportunity for you to be able to marry up compliance as well as IT automation together in a unique offer for your customers. Also at ChefConf, we announced a few other pieces of news in addition to Chef compliance as well as Chef Desktop. And they were around enhanced application delivery capabilities, wherein we started adding a bunch of functionality into Chef Habitat as well as into Chef Automate to deliver analytics as well as advanced automation capabilities for applications. The Chef workstation with Upgrade Lab, the reason why it opens up a huge opportunity for you is with Chef 15 and YAML support, the last freely distributable, when I say freely distributable, I mean without a commercial contract version of Chef just went end of life. And that is a huge opportunity for you to be able to go in and upgrade a customer's Chef environment, legacy environments for which there no longer is support, and they are potentially exposed to vulnerabilities that might crop up in legacy software. And the Chef workstation with Upgrade Lab gives you capabilities to reduce the time that you would take to test out different cookbooks and workflows that the customer is already using. So it's a consolidated developer experience and capabilities to ease upgrade from prior releases of Chef. We think that the Chef workstation with Upgrade Lab, for all of you who are systems integration partners who know a whole bunch of open source Chef, earlier versions of Chef users, provides you a fabulous opportunity from a services standpoint, even if you do not target the additional DevSecOps capabilities to get a bunch of revenue for yourselves and also create an opportunity for us. For all of you who are ServiceNow partners, we recently announced a capability wherein you can now integrate Chef Automate data into the ServiceNow CMDB product. The reason behind that is a lot of times customers use Chef to inventory their systems, and that adds on to the CMDB capabilities within ServiceNow. We also had announced a prior integration with ServiceNow around incident response, and you can use that to be able to track whenever a Chef run fails, or even when systems move out of compliance. If you're reading the tea leaves here, what we're trying to do is to integrate with traditional ITSM tools and bring together traditional concepts in systems management with modern approaches with DevSecOps. And that again translates into a massive opportunity for you to be able to modernize the approach that customers take to run their IT services. Later this year, you'll also see us focus more and more around workload aligned capabilities. We spoke about Chef Infra as well as application delivery as two additional workload aligned offerings that we will bring to market. We did not announce them at ChefConf, but we will be bringing them to market through H2 of this year. And again, that gives you more than Lego blocks to be able to go out and target a customer and drive a bunch of services opportunities for yourselves. Now, I know that all of our lives have changed. Since March, we've all been homebound, and I don't get to meet people anymore other than seeing them on a video screen. In speaking with a lot of you, you've also had challenges generate opportunities and generate leads for yourselves. When the pandemic first hit, at Chef, we were struggling. We were struggling to generate leads for ourselves. We were unsure about how business would pan out in the next quarter, and this was Q1 for us. And I'm happy to report back that not only did we have the best H1 in our company history, we also got back and have started generating a whole bunch of leads for ourselves using a bunch of new tactics that my boss Brian and the rest of the org has brought to bear. With that, I'm going to turn this over to Brian to talk about how we have approached the world, the post-COVID or the mid-COVID world, and how we're going to market with lead gen.
Thanks, Vic. I think we all wish it was the post-COVID world, but definitely we are. It's definitely in the COVID world. Well, first of all, thanks for having me, and thank you to all of you for joining us today. It's great to have so many partners on the call right now, and I'm sure folks will watch it on demand. We really appreciate your partnership and the work that we do together. It's an important part of our business, and hopefully we are helping work with you to be an important part of your business. My goal today is to provide some context on what we've learned over the past 4 or 5 months as we have evolved to work through the pandemic, what it's meant to our business, what it's meant to marketing specifically, and hopefully give you some tips and tricks so that you can avoid or learn from our learnings. I think one of the biggest takeaways that marketers have is the benchmarks that we've used in the past, the methods that we've used in the past, and even the approaches and techniques are no longer valid. And it's very difficult to measure success. It's very difficult to know what to do. And certainly there's no playbook or rubric for how to move forward. And we spent a lot of time with experimentation and learning to think through what it means. And as we all know, the number one change is we've moved to a digital only way of doing business. Like every interaction, every engagement, everything we do is digital. And, it's not bizarre that we were on a digital transformation journey. Everyone was trying to do more things electronically, even BC or before coronavirus. But it really wasn't the forcing function that it's been today. And we've anchored our strategy and how we think about marketing in a COVID quarantine world on three kind of anchor tenets. The first is web, self-service, and owned and operated. Like everyone has said, this is not novel, like, oh, the web is important, we have to do more things online. But I think all of us have globally underinvested in our digital presence. And you see it in most companies' websites, you see it in most digital interactions that happen online. And so we've been aggressively investing in our website, in our web capabilities, in platforms, in making it easier for people to discover, understand, and acquire our products without any engagement from a human. That trend was already well documented by analysts. It was already well understood in the industry that most people were going and exploring and learning on their own much before they engaged with a company. But now, the opportunities to have cold interactions, the opportunities to be on site, they're vanished, they're gone. And that web self-service component is 100% of what you do. So really investing in that. And I encourage everyone to think hard about the percentage of their budget that they're putting into their online, their web, and their digital channels. At the same time, to the extent that you can enable people to self-service, discover, learn, progress through the funnel, or progress through the adoption lifecycle without engaging people or just using community resources online, it's hugely beneficial. And we've seen all of our kind of self-service capabilities increase in usage over the past 4 months, beyond just the organic growth that we would expect. And then lastly, O&O, or owned and operated, this is a big deal. I think many of us were reliant on third parties for demand gen. Whether it was content syndication in a digital way, or it was events through field marketing or trade organizations, or even user groups or meetups, or the list goes on and on. The traditional human interactions that we all really wanted to do, and the third parties that provided those. And what we've seen is just devastation in that entire part of our business. Their third-party events are changed, right? You look at large industry events, they're not accepting sponsorship. They've changed formats. The engagement with customers is different. You look at trade association events and webinars and all the fatigue that's come along with that. Virtual booths, I don't know if any of you have experimented with those, have not been particularly rewarding in the engagements that we've had with people at events. And ultimately, it feels like third parties are struggling to find ways to monetize a in-person industry events world that no longer exists today. And we have begun to change the spend profile from those third-party activities to first-party activities. What are the things we can create, we can own as a Chef branded thing? We always had Chef Conf, which I'll talk about in a moment, but we're looking at anything that we can do to be first party. We're going to boot up a podcast series and use podcast methodologies. We're looking at roadshow events, or roadshow is kind of a funky term right now, but very community-focused events, whether it's vertical or time zone. Talk about that in a second. But things that we can own and we can do demand gen on, and work with you all, frankly, to try to build interest and energy, because the third-party concept has really gone to zero, or close to. And our experiments have proven to be fairly unsuccessful to date in working with those third-party properties. It's money in and not a lot out. Micro campaigns. We all have worked so hard as marketers over the years to build big, integrated marketing campaigns, right? That span many months or many years, that work across many channels, and that are anchor tenants in how you go to market. And while I think those are still important, what we're seeing is the need to have very fast twitch response to trends, whether it's world events or industry events or even customer interest. For example, we saw search traffic around DevOps dramatically decline in the April and May timeframe. It reduced the amount of query share, changed the pricing economics, and we just, why? People were busy. They were distracted. They had all kinds of other things they were dealing with. And so with that type of change, we found that creating smaller, lighter weight, faster to change, easier to get rid of fatigue campaigns are having much higher results. So work on removing your reliance on pure paid search and creating organic campaigns that can capture interest. And that's had a lot of success for us. And a lot of this has been vetted with my peers in the industry. And then obviously digital events. You can't get away from it. We're doing one right now, right? So this is the reality of where we are. But being really, really smart about what it means to do a digital event. Like hyper local, I put that in quotes, because it's not necessarily tied to geography anymore. Like doing an event, and a field event in Texas doesn't really exist. But people care to have connection. And what we see is time zones and interests tend to be what pulls people together, not geography, specifically like local geography. But people want it to feel customized and personalized and private and for them and different. So I think that's super important. We've tried a bunch of new ABM approaches. Traditional ABM has been difficult. I'm sure many of you have had challenges where your databases are focused on people's work address, their work contact information. You may not have cell phones. Data augmentation in the cell phone space is only now starting to catch up with the need. And so we've had to be really creative in how we do ABM and trying to make it valuable for individuals when they're not in the office. And cooking with chef is a concept we're doing right now. I think partnering with some of you. It's just not the standard talking head, something different and a very account oriented. And then moments that matter have really been a huge thing. Chef Conf was a huge success for us. We had more reach, more touch, more engagement than we would have had with an in-person event for 1/18 the cost, which is a dramatic delta. But we talked a lot about how do we get long tail content engagement? How do we make what we invested in Chef Conf last for months? And we learned a bunch of stuff about how it doesn't. If you look at our data, you see a great run up to the event, and then it almost goes to zero, trailing. No new people signing up. And we ran real efforts. We put money and ads and big marketing pushes to try to continue to get value out of the content. And what we learned is the moment is what matters. You get to run up to the moment and then it's done. So creating more moments that matter has been super interesting. So if you just, Vic, click for me. I think I summarized some of this stuff. But when it comes to digital events specifically, there's some best practices and learnings that we've been able to extract from all the different activities that we've done. And we've been recognized for some of the work that we've seen. I think the most important piece for anyone is don't lift and shift your event. It's not as simple as saying it was a physical event and now it's a virtual event and we're not going to change any of the details around it. This is what we see third parties doing, specifically the kind of local, less funded, less agile, less invested in events. They're just what we used to do in real life, now we're doing online, and they're failing miserably. So you really have to rethink your objectives. You have to think about what it means to be digital. You have to recognize that people's attention span, their willingness to engage, how they want to engage, the fact that they're tired, that you're not that important necessarily, all those factors go into it. It's not a captive audience. Right? You get someone to show up to your event in person, you have them there. they have nothing else to do. But in a digital event, they have every distraction that you could possibly imagine at all times. Some of those distractions are positive, some of those distractions are negative, but you have to cut through the noise and be really thoughtful about what's the method that I can use. So shorter is better, way less. Really thinking about unique experiences, really thinking about the digital delivery mechanism and video-based learning as opposed to in-person collaboration. How do you create engagement and things like that? So it's going to be a big change, and you shouldn't be afraid to do something that's very different than what you've done in the past. In fact, the more different, the better, most likely. There is a huge need for help in how you navigate content. It's really important that the content is structured, has a journey, it's been thoughtful. People get lost very easily. There's not the same kind of ambassador that can help you through from point A to point B in these types of events. I mean, we just heard AWS is doing a 3-week reInvent. Like, the thought of how to approach that to me is mind-boggling. I don't know how I, as a customer, are going to get a lot of value out of that unless they create very clear journeys that can go through it. And as you're building those journeys, be thoughtful, not just how the content can work in a longer period of time. Because remember, what we've seen time and time again since COVID is the event is only valuable in the moment. So you have to figure out how to take the content in the event and give it shelf life in other modalities, in other activities that aren't the event, in order to get that extended value. So be careful on how attached to the event the particular content that you're building is, because you're going to want to reuse it later date, later time, different format, different channel, in order to get your ROI from the work that goes into it. And we all know these are big lifts. So very, very important to ensure those assets can be repurposed, or else you won't get the kind of value beyond the event that you want. One of the things that we got lost on at the beginning that ended up being a big pivot was we have to focus on just on the quality of the content itself and not the production value. It's very easy to get trapped in the creative and the production value and how beautiful everything is. And there's a bar, certainly, but what really matters is that engaging, useful content. So don't necessarily over-rotate towards the creative and production quality side. Really focus on useful content. Now, as I said earlier, we've seen geography is meaningless. Like for Chef Conf, we had more attendance from APAC and EMEA than we've seen in any Chef Conf in history by almost like 50x, just because they were able to come for free. And we weren't particularly time zone friendly. So now we're thinking about what the next step of an event like that could look like. That's incredibly time zone oriented. That's very cognizant of letting people choose how their calendars work, because 2 p.m. Pacific might not be useful for anyone anymore, or 8 Eastern, or 1 a.m. GMT, right? Everyone's schedules with kids and school and life has really changed. And so how you help people select into an event based on time as opposed to an event based on geography is a big deal. And the community around that matters. We've seen financial services people want to talk to financial services people, and regardless of their location. And we've also seen the benefit of multinational companies that have people in, say, New York or Denver or Austin or Dallas, being able to bring those people together for a topic that's interesting to them, and not just what happens to be in a particular city in New York or whatever it happens to be. And last week we did a customer-focused ABM event where we took one account, partnered with them very closely, and got huge return, where over 400 internal employees registered and almost 300 showed up to an event to share best practices, to learn about technology, because we found that shared community of interest and we had sponsorship inside the account. Which means you have to get help from friends, right? Whether it's friends like you, our partners, friends like your customers, friends like your champions. It's very difficult to go this alone. And those friends and how you integrate them into what you do is really, really critical. And like I said, don't let your boss hold you accountable to the old benchmark. What Serious Decisions said last week is not super interesting. Like, throw it away. and create your own. We have tried to do similar activities to understand in a category, are we seeing performance, and then reestablish our own kind of stake in the ground so we know if we're doing better or worse, and iterate. And that goes to experimentation, right? One of the biggest learnings that we've had is it used to be called spaghetti against the wall and see what sticks. Now we call it experimentation, but that's the reality. We don't know. And we have, in every activity that we've done, we've treated it as an experiment. We've seen what worked and what didn't work, and we've iterated, and we've gotten to a place now where we have a lot of, I think, reasonable hypotheses about what's working. But my expectation is that what works today in August of 2020 will be very different than what works in November of 2020, which might be very different than what works in May of 21. But I'm certainly planning for COVID impact through at least next summer when it comes to events and marketing engagement. So I'm super not bullish on in-person things being material drivers of our marketing mix until late summer 21 and potentially beyond. But that's kind of the thinking that's happening today. And just to give some credibility to the story, we were recognized by Gartner. They put together a really good piece. So if you have a Gartner subscription, the URL's at the bottom. I think we'll share the deck with everybody in the portal, so you can go ahead and get access to the report. But they looked at best practices from Adobe, Akamai, Domo, and Chef around how you evolve virtual event strategy and what are the case studies on what makes a lot of sense. And being smart about sponsor opportunities and how we do co-lead gen. I think some of you got to experience that with us, and how pricing and goals can be set up front. Session length variations were a big thing and how we got engagement, but they're saying no more than 40 minutes. Like, that's a huge change from the way most people have thought about content. And I think, as shorter is better. Now, the whole delivery concept is interesting and super important, and obviously getting smart about what the attendance looks like. Big events versus very limited engagement, very targeted, so people can collaborate and learn, and mixing those up. I'm in the lecture and I'm in the bar, and the kind of things that go together with that. So it was great to be recognized, but hopefully these are useful tidbits and pieces of information for you. Like Vic said, we've had the best H1 in our company history. And I think a lot of our pipe gen has held strong. If I look at our Q2 pipe gen numbers, we just missed our pre-COVID targets by about 4%. And April was a bloodbath, but May and June recovered quickly. And a lot of that comes from experimentation and new tactics. So I will stop there. And hopefully that was a good overview of some of the things you can consider in how you pivot your marketing strategies for a COVID quarantine world. So I'll hand it back to Will.
Great. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Vikram. That was hopefully very enlightening for our partners on the call. Really cool to see it recapped from your perspective, having gone through it. So upcoming webinars, we will be focused on technology next time for our partners, doing deep dives into desktop and compliance. So if you have some technical folks who you think would benefit from that, make sure to send them the email invite that will get sent your way. We also launched a Microsoft and Chef Thought Leadership Series. And these are all hyperlinks. So when we send out the deck, you'll be able to register and see the content that was already recorded, the on-demand, I believe. Vikram will be a guest on one of these here coming up, so you'll get to hear more of his wisdom. And on the next slide, this is the talking with Chef. Make a request to talk with someone at Chef. So I have put the link to the form in the chat. Well, now I have. So please use this to communicate to us and our team on who would be the most impactful person for you to talk with at Chef when it comes to our partnership. And I will also make sure to send this via email to everyone who attended, so there's an artifact copy, you could say, in your inbox versus just a disappearing Zoom chat. If there's any questions, please feel free to throw them in the Q&A down at the bottom there. We have probably about 5 minutes here for, oh, okay, I need to change the permissions. Good call on the form. All right, that should be good to go now for the form. Is there any Q&As coming in here? Vikram, do you see anything that's...
Yeah, so there are a couple of them. The first question was from Pradeep around the biggest drivers of growth. And Pradeep, as I mentioned, we are seeing a bunch of our customers lead with compliance, especially now that everybody's moving so fast. Compliance is becoming a big area for them to be able to automate. The second area for us that we started seeing a bunch of growth in Q2 was around Chef desktops. And that's been a few deals that we were pleasantly surprised to have been able to close in June. The reason I say that is we announced the product first week of June, and by the end of June, we had a few deals that were done. That was one question. The second question was around tools and methods to migrate from traditional desktop management solutions, namely SCCM. We don't have a tool built out right now that helps you take rules and configuration settings from a competing vendor. But that's a great area of opportunity. And thank you so much for that idea as well. So we can possibly collaborate together to see what can be built out in the short to medium term so that you have a competitive replacement offer. Finally, around pricing for Chef Desktop. Unfortunately, I do not have it on this slide. I should have had it on this slide. But if you can send us an email, partners@chef.io, we'll be able to get you the pricing, and we'll also publish it on the partner portal later this quarter.
I believe that's it. So give everyone a few minutes back in their day, unless there's any other questions. As Vikram said, you can also email us, partners@chef.io, and we will look forward to seeing you again next month. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.